Mandy. Hey guys, it's the best day of the year. It's Halloween. I'm coming to you from a super spooky basement. It's my basement in my house. And I want to tell you about my top 13 favorite things to watch on Halloween. Alright? But before I get to that, I'm going to show you something. So I got this in the mail today. Hopefully you can see that. Actually, I got two, and here's why. One is for me. This is for me. And the other copy of Mandy, which if you haven't seen it, is absolutely amazing, is for one of you. So I'm going to tell you how you can win this at the end of the video. So stick around. Here comes my top 13 things to watch on Halloween. First, let's look at some honorable mentions.
You're watching the WNUF Halloween Special.
The WNUF Halloween Special presents itself as a taped-off television news special from 1987. The main story concerns a news anchor broadcasting from a haunted house, and interspersed throughout are fake television commercials that do a perfect job replicating the look and feel of the late 80s. The main story has its moments, but the fantastic commercials are really what sell the movie for me. If you're a child of the 80s and 90s, you'll have some spooky fun with this one. Much like the WNUF Halloween Special, Beyond the Valley of Belief is a fake television program, this time modeled off of a show from the 90s called Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. This isn't as polished as WNUF, but it's way more focused on making you laugh. It accomplishes this through a series of surreal commercials and overtly immature sketches. It's crass, it's stupid, and it's utterly hilarious.
So high, oh, there's so much poop, oh!
Will Vinton's claymation comedy of horrors is a half-hour TV special from 1991 that aired on CBS. I was originally going to include this in my official list, but I have to admit that it's not quite as good as I remembered. It still has great stop-motion animation and a lot of creative gags. It's worth a look. Besides, we lost Will Vinton this year, and checking out his old work is a good way to pay our respects. Okay, and on to the list. Number 13 is Night of the Demons. Listen, I don't want to spoil too much about this one. It takes place on Halloween, it's the quintessential teenage friends in a spooky house film, and has great special effects. It's gory, has a bunch of nudity, and an amazing title sequence. This one is cheesy as hell, but it's a lot of fun. It's a good one to put on at a party.
Do you guys have sour balls?
Why, sure we do.
Too bad. I bet you don't get many blowjobs.
Number 12 is The Halloween Tree. Based on a story by and narrated by Ray Bradbury, this 1993 ABC TV special was one that I rented a lot as a kid. It's definitely one of the most Halloween-y things on this list. It concerns a group of friends who end up in an adventure to save their friend's soul on Halloween. The mysterious Mr. Moundshroud, played by Leonard Nimoy, whisks them away on a globe-trotting journey to save their friend Pip, and along the way they learn about the origins of their Halloween costumes and the holiday itself. It's creepy, educational, and pretty dark for a children's program. I miss this kind of stuff, to be honest. I love kids' entertainment that dares to go a bit darker. I highly recommend this one, especially for families with kids who like scary stuff.
Pip, come on out. It's just us.
Number 11, Return of the Living Dead. If you haven't seen this one yet, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Hands down one of the best zombie films ever made, and probably one of the best horror comedies too. What happens when a group of horny teens end up in a gothic cemetery, just as the dead are returning to life? Well, you'll just have to watch and find out. This one is chock full of memorable characters, quotable lines, and fantastic effects. It's also the origin of the whole zombies eating brains thing. The influence of this film can still be felt today. Another good party film and a great movie to watch on Halloween. It's a no-brainer. Number 10 is Hocus Pocus, another kid-friendly entry. I have to imagine that most people have seen Hocus Pocus by now, but if you haven't, do yourself a favor. It has such an energy to it, and it really captures that wonderful Halloween atmosphere. Kathy Najimy, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Bette Midler are amazing as the villainous Sanderson sisters. They bring so much life and joy to the film. I have a real soft spot for kid-friendly horror, and Hocus Pocus really does the trick. Or treat. Number 9 is Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I have this thing for what I call cinematic artifice. You know, when a movie is obviously shot on a set or has big crazy shafts of light, or any time a movie is prioritizing looking awesome over looking real. Yeah, that really does it for me. And so Bram Stoker's Dracula is basically movie pornography to me. I've heard a lot of complaints about this film, and sure, a lot of them are valid, but just look at this thing. The sets, the costumes, the special effects. It's so extravagant and beautifully artificial. This flick comes hard with the spooky atmosphere. If you love theatricality as much as I do, it will really give you something to sink your teeth into. Number 8 is John Carpenter's The Fog. So, yeah, there's a John Carpenter movie on this list, and it isn't the obvious one. Look, Halloween is a great film, but The Fog, the story of a galleon of ghostly lepers taking bloody revenge on a small coastal town under cover of fog and moonlight, that's just more my style. The music is great, the scares are well crafted, and the feeling of supernatural dread is so thick you can barely see through it.
My grandfather stole it from you. I'm the one who must answer for it.
Number 7 is... Look, I need to confess something here. I don't love Tim Burton. I'm not overly fond of his version of Batman, and Edward Scissorhands was never my thing. I do love Beetlejuice. In fact, it almost made this list, but yeah, his output has never really done much for me, except for Ed Wood. Okay, so I like Tim Burton. I like him. It just... whatever. Number 7 is Sleepy Hollow. It's got that whole cinematic artifice thing I was talking about with Dracula. It's got Christopher Walken playing the Hessian soldier who becomes the Headless Horseman. The movie is beautiful to look at. It's violent as hell, and it just oozes that spooky Halloween goodness. I really dig this one. Insert some pun about losing your head or not losing your head or something. Number 6. Okay, listen. I like John Carpenter's Halloween. I like it a lot. I really, really do. But I like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch more. Let me explain. I'm not much of a slasher guy. I never have been. I've always leaned more toward the weird. And Halloween 3 is weird. There's magic and microchips and pagans. And they're like... using a piece of Stonehenge somehow to kill kids with Halloween masks, because if they're wearing the Halloween mask when the Silver Shamrock song comes on Halloween, it'll make bugs and snakes come out of their faces. Oh, also robots. There are robots, like clockwork robots that bleed Nickelodeon slime. So yeah, Halloween 3, it's awesome. It also just occurred to me that this is the second time a Tom Atkins movie has appeared on the list. I wonder if it'll be the last. Number 5 is Creepshow, and hey, Tom Atkins is in this movie. I saw Creepshow when I was a kid, late at night on cable when I was supposed to be asleep, and it scared the bejesus out of me. The crate sequence was just too much for my fragile 11-year-old psyche. Creepshow is a classic. It's the best horror anthology ever made. It oozes style and has atmosphere for days. Not a lot of people remember this, but Creepshow technically takes place on Halloween, unless that's an Easter pumpkin in the windowsill. Grave-popping zombie, waterlogged walking corpses, a creature in a crate, and death by bugs. What more could you want on All Hallows Eve?
Meteor ship!
Number 4 is Monster Squad. Monster Squad is like The Goonies, except better because it has monsters. This movie was my introduction to the old school Universal monsters when I was a kid. You got Dracula, the Wolfman, the Creature, the Mummy, and of course the Frankenstein monster, all brought to life by the genius of Stan Winston and his team. This is another one from the glory days when they made kids movies that weren't afraid to get a little dark, and in this case, pretty violent too. What I really love about this movie is that it took a page out of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. The characters are funny, that's where you get your laughs, but the monsters are dead serious. The horror is played straight, and it totally works. Number 3 is Pumpkinhead. I love movies like this. Backwoods horror that's steeped in folklore. There's fog and spooky sounds and one of the coolest looking monster suits ever committed to film. Once again, brought to life by Stan Winston's team. Stan even directed this one. It's a fairy tale from hell about a vengeance demon dug up from a pumpkin patch to kill the enemies of its summoner. It's my favorite monster movie, and I highly recommend you make it part of your holiday viewing. Number 2 is Trick or Treat. What can I say? It's a perfect Halloween movie. Trick or Treat absolutely exudes the Halloween spirit. Director Michael Dougherty is an illustrator, and his eye for color and style really comes through in the visuals of the film. It's dripping with blood and tinged with dark humor. Few other movies can nail the macabre sense of fun we all associate with Halloween, but Trick or Treat manages to do just that. Fingers crossed for a sequel. And the number 1 is... Please don't hate me for this. Ernest Scared Stupid. I'm not going to make any excuses here. I loved it as a kid, and I love it even more now. Jim Varney was a genius actor and physical comedian. He really gets to cut loose here, busting out all kinds of characters and voices. As an added bonus, the story is pretty cool too. It's another small-town legend run amok, only this time, it's trolls. Why trolls? Who cares? It's awesome. The Chiodo brothers of Killer Clowns from Outer Space fame created effects that managed to be both silly and creepy at the same time. This was the last of the good Ernest movies, unfortunately. Scared Stupid marks the last of the 4-picture deal with Disney's Touchstone Pictures, and the quality of the films that followed took a drastic nosedive. I love this movie with all my heart, and every time I watch it, I'm overtaken with pure joy. Share it with your kids. This one is timeless.
I don't believe it, Rimshot. He's pulling against 200 horsepower. Now put it in reverse. How about a bumper sandwich, booger lips? You got him, Rimshot.
So there it is, guys. My top 13 things to watch on Halloween. Absolutely no regrets for my number 1. Thank you very much. So yeah, I told you at the beginning of the video that you could win a copy of Mandy on Blu-ray. Okay? And here's how you do it. Alright. So, you have to be a patron of my Patreon. I know, right? So, to do that, you go to patreon.com/dwmills. Become a patron at any level, even just $2, alright? There is a post in there asking you what you like to watch on Halloween, and you just have to leave a comment, alright? Leaving a comment enters your name in a drawing, and if you win, you get a copy of Mandy, brand new, on Blu-ray. And, it's awesome! And I hope you guys dug the video. So yeah, if you're doing stuff on Halloween, be safe. If you're drinking, don't drive. If you're a kid and you're trick-or-treating, don't get hit by a car. Those two are related somehow. Yeah, be safe, have fun, eat lots of candy. Halloween rules. I'm kind of disappointed. I feel like my Halloween video should be better than this. So next year I'm going to have a good and proper Halloween special. I promise you that. In fact, I'm going to start planning it tomorrow, November 1st. Plans for the 2019 Halloween special. I promise. Okay, so again, thank you. Head over to Patreon if you want to get entered to win a copy of Mandy. And happy Halloween. Monster.